You're watching channel We Are One, and today what we are going to talk about is the economic impact of this lockdown period. आज इस पूरे विषय पर बात करने के लिए हमारे साथ हैं ब्रिगेडियर डॉक्टर विजय सागर धीमान, जो कि चैनल वी आर वन के एडिटर इन चीफ हैं। ब्रिगेडियर धीमान आज हमें बताएंगे कि किस तरीके से इकोनॉमिक इम्पैक्ट इस पूरी सिचुएशन का, इस पूरे लॉकडाउन का, कोविड-19 का इंडिया पर होने वाला है और उस इम्पैक्ट को कम करने के लिए, उस दुष्प्रभाव को कम करने के लिए हम क्या कुछ कर सकते हैं। ये वीडियो आपके लिए बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है और बहुत ज़्यादा कारगर साबित हो सकता है। सो लुक फॉरवर्ड फॉर दिस वीडियो एंड लिसन टू इट वेरी केयरफुली।
Hello friends, in this difficult times of corona pandemic that we are passing through, I had certain measures regarding the economy which I'll be talking to you about. This has given us a big challenge because of the lockdown that we are observing. The economy is going into doldrums. This is going to have a very major effect on economy. At the moment, whatever stock market crash or whatever things you are watching, it is because of sentiments. Because we work on sentiments, we are just worried that lockdown ho gaya hai, now what to do. But the health of the economy is very strong, fundamentals are strong. But if this lockdown continues for a longer duration, the health of the economy is definitely going to go down and is going to suffer. And those symptoms have already begun to appear on the horizon, which we must address immediately. Now, I'll tell you something. The person who's working to control this pandemic will tell you that we must flatten the curve. That curve with the graph with which the spike is occurring regarding the deaths and infections. So he gives out the reasoning to flatten the curve, the measures to flatten the curve, and that includes lockdown, closing of businesses, closing of factories, closing of industry. At the same time, the guy who is an economist, he says that if you do this, then the curve of the growth of the economy will also get flattened out. So this is some kind of a dichotomy, that if you try to control the pandemic, your economy goes for a 6, and if you try to revive the economy and you relax the measures that you've taken to control the pandemic, the infections go very high. Now, on one side is the economy and one side is your own life, which is more important. That is the dichotomy. And this dichotomy can be well understood. What is going on in the minds of the planners, our government, our administration, is Protagoras paradox. Now, what is Protagoras paradox? In this paradox, there is a situation when the two parties which are mutually exclusive to each other, against each other, both appear to be right. Like I give you an example how this thing came up. There was a guy called Protagoras in Greek once upon a time, and he was a great lawyer. So one gentleman, young boy, walked up to him and he said, "Sir, you are a great lawyer. Why can't you help me out? Please teach me law and let me also become a lawyer." But then the problem is, I'm a very poor guy. I don't have money to pay you fee. So what should be done? He said, "Okay, I will pay you the fee the day I win my first case in the court." So this was the arrangement. So Protagoras had his pupil with him and he trained him and he became a very good lawyer and he made sure that he passes the exam and becomes a lawyer. Now what happens is Protagoras was expecting this guy to pay him his fee. But then 1 year, 2 years, this pupil was not to be seen anywhere. So Protagoras was very angry. So he filed a case against him in the court saying that this guy hasn't paid me my fees. Now what was Protagoras thinking? He says, if I win the case, then I'll get my fees back from him. And if I lose the case, that means he wins the case, then he'll again he'll have to pay me the money because he's won his first case. And now let's see what the pupil was thinking. Pupil was thinking that in case I win the case, I don't have to pay the fees. And in case I lose the case, in any case, I have not won my first case as yet, so I don't have to pay my fees. So both the logics of both the lawyers, the teacher and the pupil are correct, but they are mutually exclusive against each other. Similarly, today our planners, our government is facing the same situation. Whether to take measures to curb the pandemic or to take measures to improve the economy and lose out on pandemic fight. So what should we do? Now, the immediate thing that I would think that we must do is that we must keep a war against corona on. There should be no laxity in that at all. And there should be widespread surveillance, widespread screening, widespread testing, and rigorous quarantine and all other measures. At the same time, there should also be concerted laboratory testing about various things, and we keep our war against this on. We should make sure that we have a manufacturing of enough number of masks, enough number of protection equipment, enough number of testing kits, as well as ventilators. And we should also encourage our doctors, paramedic staff, police personnel, and for ensuring a lockdown and giving us health services. At the same time, we should also create facilities within our country regarding the hospital beds. In case this particular pandemic goes out of our control, then what do we do? So we create various kinds of centers. We've done it 3 categories. That is for the mild infections, the moderate infections, as well as severe cases. So we should convert our schools, colleges, hospitals, hotels, stadiums into these facilities. And even our railway coaches have also been, we've been equipped with various equipments to make sure that our war against corona keeps on. At the same time, we should also ensure that our supply chains are not disrupted. The crops which are ready in the fields should be harvested, and there should be enough labor to handle those crops to mandis, and from there they should be able to go to the storage houses, and from storage houses they should come to the retail chains in the market, and from the market it should go to the individual houses. Like Punjab Police has started delivering the rations to affected people at their homes. So similar kind of measures can be taken by various states, and there should be a coordinated effort between the center and the state, and we should be able to help the people fight this disease, as well as make sure that supply chain is not broken. Nobody is hungry, nobody goes without money, and especially the people in the unorganized sectors. So all the workers who are daily wages should get some money into their pockets, and they should also get food, and they should get also shelter, so that they don't migrate to their own homes, or they do not come out of their homes to look for a work to earn money. So these are very important measures which we should keep taking right now. Now, having said that what should we keep on doing, we must also look at it as to what is going to happen after the lockdown is lifted. Can we have a complete lifting of a lockdown, or can we lift partially, or we extend it for a longer duration of time? Well, these are 3 choices which have their own pluses and minuses. But in any case, any lockdown cannot continue forever. It cannot be continued for a longer duration. Now the problem is, why we panicking at this stage as far as the pandemic is concerned? Because we do not have a vaccine for it. The day vaccine comes out, we will be able to do something substantial on this front. And well, there are good news. There is Pittsburgh University. There is a laboratory in Israel. One claims to have done it on mice. I mean, when they injected the mice, the antibodies were produced, and which could be helpful in fighting this particular virus. Similarly, the Israelis said they've used it on the bats, and human trials have begun. But still, the expected lead time, as told to us by the World Health Organization, will be anything between 12 months to 18 months. So till then, what do? We have to selectively and in a partial manner lift the lockdown to allow some economic activity on. And initially, what kind of economic activity has to come up? It has to be done for the essential items. which are basically needed for survival. And this could be food items, FMCG items. So all the MSMEs and the SMEs, etc., which are used in production of FMCG items, we should allow them to start functioning. Similarly, we should also allow certain other essential services which are linked to our supply chains, like transportation, trains, goods trains, maybe goods by air. So those particular services should also be allowed to start in a gradual manner. And whenever these services are allowed to start functioning, start manufacturing, they should be given strict guidelines, strict standard operating procedures, that they should follow the norms of social distances, which is very important. And without that, they should not be allowed to function at all. Otherwise, we'll be getting a second spike or second sort of a proliferation of this pandemic, which we have to avoid at all stages. Then we should also do something about the stock market. Stock market has plunged like anything. Within these few days, they have lost almost anything up to 17,000 points. And it is very volatile at this moment. So certain amount of liquidity, which certain measures have been taken by the RBI to improve liquidity in the market. Banks have been given instructions to give easy loans. The repo rates and reverse repo rates have been cut down. The cash reserve ratio has been cut down. So liquidity has occurred. Now RBI must ensure that these banks pass on these advantageous position to the customers. The moratorium over the EMIs has been announced. Then certain amount of fiscal position has been planned by the government, and that has been announced. And then we have our manufacturing sector, in which these people should be allowed to, they should be given incentive to produce more. And at the moment, there is a requirement of producing more masks. There is a requirement of producing more protection equipment, more ventilators. So incentive is given to such industries to produce more of these things which are needed at the time to deal with the emergency. In this, government has approached private sector, it has approached the public sector, and even the defense sector. So all these people should be doing work in conjunction with each other, and they should be producing more, which is required. And more production will stabilize the economy, or it would minimize the effects of economy that has been created because of this particular pandemic. We should also look after the unorganized informal sector, especially the daily wages. Now, daily wages, we have a concept of universal basic income in the world, but probably in a country like India, where we have 1.3 billion people, and that too, most of them are not documented. So we are not aware. So process of UBI at this moment may not be a very, logical thing. But then we must use our facility of Aadhaar card, Jan Dhan accounts, and then your e-commerce things. These kind of things must be used to give them some kind of a incentive to have money so that they don't move out. Now, with this, what are the positives of this particular thing? Like Winston Churchill had said that every calamity, every crisis always gives you certain positivities, certain positive motives. So what should we do? What should we look for? We should look for that we are having a crisis in the health system. We have a crisis in the supply chain system. We are having crisis with the informal sector. We are having crisis with the documentation of our citizens, like electronic document of citizens. So we should make certain task forces of the experts who can work on these things overnight and try to reform them, so that when we are about to come out of this particular crisis, we may be in a position to implement certain things which were not there yesterday with us. But now maybe this crisis has taught us how to go about those things. Probably the importance of these things which I have just listed has been understood now. So we, in the times to come, we should look at these things and make sure that they are permanent systems with us. And above all, I reiterate that this pandemic has taught us to be more clean. Prime Minister did start Swachh Bharat campaign, and did a lot of work on that, and lots of work is happening also. But today, each and every citizen of India probably is beginning to understand what is the requirement of washing hands, what is the requirement of desanitization, what is the requirement of keeping your premises inside and outside clean, and what is the requirement of leading a good, healthy life. So, friends, let's pray for that, and let's make sure that this particular pandemic doesn't pull us down. We have seen very many crises. This is one more crisis which will give us more lessons, and we'll have a better tomorrow. Yes, economy will be affected, but then we have to make sure that we try to minimize the effect on the economy as much as we can, so that thereafter we can bounce back with our own inherent strengths of Indian economy. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Brigadier Vijay Sagar Dheman is a scholar warrior who has a distinction of having been awarded doctorates twice in international relations. His research is backed with his hands-on experience of having served the nation on the line of control with Pakistan. He has been a commander of insurgency grid in Kashmir, served with the United Nations, and has had multiple stints in different facets of life, including the tenets of cyberspace. As the Additional Director General of the National Cadet Corps, his passion for the motherland extended further into fortifying the youth of his country, which he pursues even today as the Vice Chancellor of a university. Today, he actively trains and channels the energies of young Indians for joining the armed forces by being an astute trainer for the Service Selection Board. His methods of training are based on 12 years of extensive research and consultations with IOs, GTOs, and psychologists from different service selection boards. His progressive, dynamic, and focused coaching methodology has seen hundreds join the armed forces. A Harrison-trained psychometric analyst, he is an expert in training and motivating youth to play by their personal strengths towards the desired career paths. He has been able to guide the so-called less than 80 marks type students to blissful careers, entrepreneurships of their choice. 12 years of experience in career counseling has propelled many young students to successfully gain admissions in universities in India and abroad. Brigadier Vijay Sagar Dheman also arms his students with life skills with a globally approved program by the International Coaching Federation, USA, of which he is a certified and accredited coach. His practical, hands-on approach with real-life inspiring stories facilitates students to assimilate the personality traits. This enhances the IQ, intelligence quotient, the EQ, emotional quotient, the SQ, social quotient, and AQ, adversity quotient, resulting in a runaway success for any student. So what are you waiting for? Come join with Brigadier Vijay Sagar Dheman, who is your sure bet to acme your life.